Good evening, Tallahassee, and happy Monday. Welcome to FSU Weather. Let's get into the weather over the next couple of days. A live look at Doak. It is 81 degrees and sunny. There's going to be winds coming from the south-southwest at 9 miles an hour. We're seeing a couple scattered clouds. Nothing much is going on. It's going to be very warm as compared to what we've seen in the last couple of days. Looking at the radar, we're seeing a little bit, you might think this is rain forming, but it is actually just ground clutter. It's not going to be any precipitation. It's just going to be bounced back from the radar that we're seeing in the area. Tonight in Tallahassee, it's going to be 54 degrees. It's going to stoop way down with winds from the south-southwest, again at 5 miles an hour, partly cloudy, similar to what we are seeing right now. So some headlines for the show. It is going to have some chances of rain in Tallahassee, severe storms in the southern plains, and active disturbances in the tropics. All this and more on FSU Weather.
Good evening, Tallahassee, and welcome to your Monday edition of FSU Weather. Folks, I know we've been having a cold couple of days, but it's finally going to be warming up. We're going to see some warmer temperatures doing the electric slide into this week, making it just a really lovely week to go outside, take advantage of that sun. I know some people are studying for midterms. I know I am, so make sure you guys are studying and maybe take a walk to Doak or Landis or somewhere nice where you can, enjoy this beautiful weather. Looking forward to Halloween, looking forward to these great fall temperatures. We might be getting a cold front later into the week, especially with these rain chances coming up. But why don't we pass things over to Nicholas, who's going to talk to us more about our local weather.
Thank you, Ale. So right now, today was a little bit warmer than what we were accustomed to earlier last week. Right now, it's 81 degrees with a slight breeze from the south-southwest at 9 miles per hour. But overall, it looks like it's going to be a really nice sunset. Clouds seem to have cleared up a little bit, and it looks like it's going to be very nice. And our current temperatures for the region show that they're hanging around the lower 80s to upper 70s. Down here by the coast, it's going to be a little bit cooler. In Apalachicola, it's 74, Crawfordville, 77. But over here, a little bit more, mainland's a little bit warmer. For our dew points, they are still pretty low, not as low as they were last week when the cold front had passed through. So it's going to be a little bit muggier, but it's definitely really nice, fair conditions, and it's really nice fall weather. And for the wind speed direction, here in Tallahassee, we have the strongest at 9 miles per hour, but overall, most of the Big Bend region is seeing pretty light winds. And for our temperature almanac, our high today was 84 and our low was 48, which is a little bit above average, definitely nowhere near the record. And our low is just a bit lower than our actual average, so it's still a little bit colder than what we're used to for October. And for our hour by hour, we can see that it's going to start off pretty cool in the morning at 48 and then gradually make its way up towards the 80s and level off at 83 for the rest of the afternoon. And for our future satellite, we do not expect any precipitation in the near future. Everything's pretty clear for the time being until that next cold front passes through. Here's our future radar. So you see those clouds that are coming in? That's the next cold front that's going to be passing through in the next week or so. And it will bring some precipitation, but not so much for us here in Tallahassee. And for tonight's forecast, we can be expecting temperatures in the mid-50s to lower 60s down here by Apalachicola Bay. It's going to be a little bit warmer due to that sea breeze. And tomorrow's local forecast, it's going to be pretty much the same temperatures. 82 here in Tallahassee, low 70s, upper 70s, to low 80s. It's going to be really nice temperatures. And for taking a look at the week ahead, as I talked about that cold front that's going to be passing through, it's going to bring our lower temperatures back down to the 40s, but our upper temperatures are still going to stay hanging around the lower 80s. So probably keep a sweater on in the morning and then take it off in the afternoon. How is it looking for Florida, Isabel?
Thank you, Nico. So I'm going to do a zoomed out version of the weather here in Florida this week. Going into that Halloween weekend, we'll see what we're seeing. Right now in Florida, there's a couple scattered clouds in Miami and Tampa, but nothing in Panama City Beach in Orlando, sitting in the upper 70s, low 80s. Going off of that, we're seeing those same upper 70s, low 80s Jacksonville actually is a little outlier here. That cool breeze from the ocean is going to cool that down a little bit as of right now. As Nico said, the dew points are a little bit lower than we would normally be expecting, but not as low as we were seeing last week. So we're still having those drier conditions that were caused by that cold front pushing through the region that we saw last week. Looking at the radar, we're not seeing much activity going on, especially here in Tallahassee, but the only things that we might be seeing are some disturbances in the south region, but nothing that we should be concerned about for now. Looking at the 72-hour rainfall forecast, we're seeing some chance of rain in the next couple of days. This is on Thursday. So if you're planning on starting your Halloween weekend early, you might have to look out for that because we will be in the greenish regions. Per each city, we're looking at Miami right now. The next couple of days on through Thursday, it's going to be sunny, beautiful, mid to high 80s, very low chances of rain. Going from that, in Tampa, similar conditions, mid to low 80s, which we would expect as we move a little bit more south in Florida. No chances of rain in the next 3 days. Similarly, in Orlando, we are seeing those same temperatures. There might be some clouds there on Thursday, but not much. If you're planning on going to Universal's Halloween spooky activities, look out for this beautiful weather. Same thing in Jacksonville. We're getting a little bit colder, but again, very comfortable conditions. From there, Pensacola. This is where we might see some rain activity tomorrow. There's a 50% chance of rain, but that's going to clear out as the week continues. It is going to be 80 degrees tomorrow, 76 the next day, and 77 on Thursday. Again, very comfortable temperatures for this time of year. So, for the broader Florida area, we are seeing pretty clear skies, especially in Jacksonville, Gainesville, and Orlando. We're seeing some cloud cover in Tallahassee tonight, a little bit more in Pensacola, a little bit more in Miami, but nothing going on, no chances of rain right now in the area. It is a beautiful day tomorrow in Florida. It is going to be mid-80s and sunny, so I wouldn't expect any type of cold weather conditions, but let's take a look at the broader Florida area.
So yeah, taking a look at the southeast currently, we can see that it's, for the most of the region, it's all pretty much the same temperature, low 80s. Over here in the eastern part of the southeast, in North Carolina, here in Atlanta and Charleston, it's a little bit cooler in the lower 70s, but for the most part, it's pretty fair conditions. Over here you can see this is the cold front that's going to be passing through in the next week or so. But for the moment, most of the southeast is looking pretty dry, not much precipitation going on. Maybe a little bit here in central Florida, but it's looking pretty good for the current radar. And for the current water vapor, it seems like it's been for the last week. It's been pretty dry, but as that cold front's coming in, it's going to bring some drier air into the region and again lowering the dew points back to the 30s, how it was last week here in Tallahassee. And so the current dew points right here, as you can see, is relatively dry in the 50s. As you go farther south into Florida, it's going to get muggier. Over down to Miami at 68. But over here in Nashville and Atlanta, really dry, 35 in Nashville. And as that cold front moves through, you can expect those dew points to drop as well. And for our heat index for today, everything is sitting around low 80s, really fair, nice temperatures. Nothing too much to be worried about. And for our current wind speed, over here in Shreveport and Little Rock, pretty strong winds as that cold front is going to pass through. But for the rest of the southeast, you're not looking at anything too strong in terms of wind speeds. The Storm Prediction Center takes a look. The Storm Prediction Center predicts that the Dallas and Houston region is going to be seeing some slight risk, and the Arkansas and Louisiana region will be seeing some marginal risk for today. But for the rest of the southeast, we do not anticipate any major storms. But for tomorrow, Action Jackson is definitely going to be getting some strong precipitation and its first real look at some strong fall weather for this season. They're looking at a slight risk in most of the Mississippi and Alabama region, and the rest of the southeast will be looking at a marginal to non-severe outlook. And for our future radar, you can see that cold front is going to be passing through most of the Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia region, bringing some pretty strong severe weather, and with it, the colder temperatures that are coming along with it. And for our 72-hour rainfall forecast, you can see that as where that front passes through, there will be a lot of rain coming through with it, especially in Arkansas and Tennessee. But for the rest of the Southeast, they're not looking at too much precipitation. For tonight's forecast, we're expecting temperatures in the low 50s to mid 60s for most of the region. Pretty nice weather for the night. And for taking a look at Charleston, South Carolina, it's pretty nice right now, 77 degrees. The high tomorrow is going to be 81, but then as that cold front is going to pass through, it's going to bring down the temperatures a little bit for the rest of the week. And taking a look at tomorrow's forecast, for most of Florida, it's still going to be pretty warm. Temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. And over there, farther north in Alabama and Mississippi, things are going to hang around in the mid to lower 70s. So how is it looking over in the national outlook, Spencer?
Thank you, Nico. So nationally, we do have quite a bit happening. So firstly, we can see some warmer temperatures on the eastern part of the country, looking at 82 in New Orleans, 83 in Miami, and even 63, a little bit cooler out in Washington, D.C. But here you can see where we have that cold front coming in the next few days. Behind that, we have some cooler temperatures, 52 in Kansas City, 47 in Salt Lake City as well. And our heat index, so this is how hot it feels on your skin outside. Not too different from the actual temperature here in the southeast and much of the east coast. 63 as well again in Washington, D.C., 81 here in Tallahassee, 51 out in Denver. And our dew point. So dew point is a measure of how much moisture the air can hold. So you can see right here behind that cold front, or at least where that cold front will be in the next few days, we have much drier conditions. The dew point of 10 degrees in Denver, that's very low, and dew point still not too bad, 63 in New Orleans, as well as 58 here in Tallahassee. That's beautiful dew points to be outside. So taking a look at the national surface map, this shows what fronts we have going on in the country. So right here is a low, or low pressure system with a front that's going to be dying, and then this low right here, this is going to become dominant within the next day or two. And you can see here, this is that cold front associated with that low. And, excuse me. So here again, you can see that low pressure system, that little bit of circulation right there, bringing some drier and cooler air down into parts of Texas, and some much moister conditions up going into the northern Midwest, closer to the Great Lakes. So here we have this kind of beige-ish color. That's a hard word to say, my goodness. It's almost like an electric slide. It's so slippery to say. And so here, this is a wind advisory. So this just means there's a chance for some pretty fast winds. And here we actually have some severe thunderstorm watches here in the central part of Texas, and I believe we do have some severe thunderstorm warnings, some isolated instances of those in central Texas. This is because that front coming in is pushing up all that moist air, leading to some very convective and stormy conditions here in central Texas. Taking a look in the Pacific Northwest, mainly pretty cloudy with some chances for snow and ice up in the more mountainous areas. And here in the heartland, you can see that developing mid-latitude cyclone here, which is going to bring in that cold front. And here we have another system which will be weakening, and this is bringing a large swath of storms through the heartland and through much of the Midwest. So anywhere really along the Mississippi River, between maybe Kansas and the Mississippi River up through Minnesota, you guys should be looking out for some possible rain and even some possible flooding. And in the Northeast, pretty clear all around, with the exception of maybe in New England, some clouds and storms really past New York, and just a little bit of showers here near Jersey and Delaware. And taking a look at the drought monitor, so we can see here all these colors here are indications of different levels of drought. So we actually have seen some improvement of the droughts that we've been seeing out west, thankfully. But we actually down here in the southeast, here in the Florida Panhandle, actually we do have a drought which is developing because we have not seen nearly as much rainfall. And taking a look at the SPC Storm Prediction Center outlook, we have some slight chance here for severe weather. That is a level 2 out of 5, and that tells us as that cold front is coming in, chance for some severe weather in these areas, and this lighter green here is a level 1 out of 5. Day 2, you can see that's moving eastward as the front moves eastward, closer into the southeast and even into the Florida Panhandle. And for the rainfall outlook in the next few days, you can see really here where that large swath of storms were. That's the main story for possible storms and rain. And one last look at our temperatures across the country: 85 in Miami, 70 in Dallas-Fort Worth, and 52 in Salt Lake City. We're going to be passing things off to Ale with a look at our tropics.
Thank you so much, Spencer. So I know it's October, folks, but sadly we are not out of the woods yet when it comes to tropical storms, tropical cyclones, that sort of thing that us Floridians are really not too, fond of, but we're also quite familiar with it. So currently, that tropical overview, we do have a brand new Invest, 94L, I believe. Not yet any sort of tropical storm, tropical cyclone, nothing like that, but it is an area that the National Hurricane Center is looking at. We also do have an area to watch right down here around the Bahamas, but for the most part, we're just really focused on that 94L that looks like it might pose a threat to us here in the United States. So for that 5-day development chance, we do have a high chance of development for this Invest right up here, folks. It is angled towards the northeast, so they should definitely be taking a look at that, making sure they're keeping up with these advisories and all these information that's coming out with the National Hurricane Center, because that is an area to watch, sadly. Sea surface temperatures, so these temperatures are quite important because they'll really play a huge factor in how strong a hurricane can get, and also how favorable the conditions are for hurricane intensification, for just further hurricane development. As you can see, mostly the warmer temperatures are right down here in the Caribbean, in the Atlantic. Up here, we saw that Invest, not so much. It's a lot cooler temperatures up there, so maybe that hurricane won't get up to maybe a really threatening sort of level, but definitely something to take a look at. Wind shear is also a really big player when it comes to hurricanes, as it can disrupt the actual formation of the hurricane and kind of weaken it a little bit. So areas where there's not so much wind shear, the hurricane has really favorable conditions to get stronger. Up here in that area, in that Invest area we were talking about, they do have a little bit of wind shear along with those cooler temperatures. So again, it's just an Invest, nothing to quite worry about. Maybe these conditions are not quite so favorable. As for water vapor, definitely a lot more moist over there, which also might contribute to just more favorable conditions for that hurricane. Future radar showing, again, that storm that Spencer mentioned, washing straight into the southeast, but for the most part, really not posing quite a big threat for us here. But since we are still in hurricane season, make sure you know your evacuation zones, make sure you have your emergency kits, make sure you're keeping up to date with the National Weather Service, everything hurricane related. And why don't we lighten things up a little bit, folks, and talk about some sports that are happening. Nicholas?
Yeah, so October truly is the month of sports. All the major sports of the United States are in full swing. MLS is in their playoffs right now. Baseball is in the World Series, and NFL is in full swing. NBA just started, and over here in Florida State, we have so many activities that we have lined up for this week. And taking a look at the live look at the Sportsplex, it's pretty nice. We're gonna have a really nice afternoon, great playing conditions, and it's gonna be nice, fair temperatures as well. So it's not gonna be cold like the last couple of weeks. It's gonna be really nice conditions to be playing in. And for Monday Night Football tonight, Bears-Patriots. Over in New England, it's going to be a little bit rainy, light winds from the northeast, and pretty cool at 59 degrees. And for our current satellite of the region, as you can see, this is the cold front that's passing through. And over here in New England, it's just slightly, there's some slight showers coming from the Atlantic, which is going to bring that precipitation during the game. And for our Foxborough, Massachusetts outlook, it's going to be pretty cool for the next 3 days. Highs at 66. On Thursday, it's going to warm up a little bit at 70. And you'll start off your mornings pretty cool at mid-50s to lower 40s. And for Florida State's men's tennis, they've actually been playing all week. This past weekend, they played the ITA Regionals. And they're going to be going at it again in the M15 tournament here in Tallahassee. It's going to be 84 degrees, partly cloudy, from the south. Winds from the southeast at 5 miles per hour. Even though this tournament is played indoors, if you guys are walking to the stadium, to the tennis courts, it's going to be really nice. And our men's basketball is actually going to play their first game of the season, an exhibition game against Newberry College on Thursday at 7 p.m. 71 degrees. It's going to be a really nice night to go out and walk to the Civic Center. And it's going to be a great day. I hope we win that game. And for our Florida State soccer, I think we're playing what I believe is our last home game of the season against Virginia Tech. 71 degrees. It's going to be a beautiful night. Hopefully we end our last home game with a great win for our top 10 nationally ranked women's soccer team. And for Florida State women's golf, they'll be playing in Wilmington, North Carolina. It's going to be great conditions out in the greens at 75 degrees temperature. And our weekday planner in Wilmington, North Carolina, it's going to be really nice for the rest of the week over there. Temperature starting off in the upper 50s and leveling off in the 80s for most of the afternoon. So it's going to be similar to what we have here in Tallahassee. And our Florida State volleyball is going to be playing at Syracuse. Temperatures at 8 p.m. is going to be 80 degrees, actually pretty warm. But it's going to be really nice if you guys are in Syracuse going to support our Florida State volleyball. And this weekend we got a big one. Hopefully we get back right on track in our winning ways, how we started off this season, playing against Georgia Tech. It's going to be a really nice night, 72 degrees. Hopefully we have a great atmosphere at Doak. And taking a look for a week ahead, it's going to be pretty warm for most of the week, but as that cold front passes through, we're going to be seeing a dip in temperatures. How is lifestyle going to look, Ale?
Thank you so much, Nicholas. So yeah, folks, if you are planning on watching sports, I know tonight is Monday Night Football, so why don't we take a look around town and see how that weather is. Our sportsplex looking quite nice, just a couple scattered clouds. Different story for St. George Island, beautiful clear sky. You can already see that little bit of orange with the sunset. Panama City also just beautiful. Look at these clear skies, folks. Just really great weather to go outside, take advantage of these nice 80-degree temps. Currently 81 in Tallahassee, just really high 70s, 80s across the board. In the Panhandle, a little bit cooler down in Apalachicola with that Gulf breeze bringing in that nice, refreshing air. Looking at the moisture level, those dew points, 58 in Tallahassee, a nice light green for us, honestly. Not too dry, not too wet. Definitely not the same story for Apalachicola, 67, a lot more moist down there. But for us here, if you go outside, you probably won't be sweating your butts off. For Diwali, beautiful conditions to go outside and just enjoy this festival of lights. 75 degrees, mostly clear, with a nice wind, not too strong, so you don't really have to worry about any open flames. But if you guys are celebrating, tonight is the night to do it. Really lovely conditions for that. If you're planning on going to the beach, marine forecast showing 78. Quite the strong wind. That's probably the reason why they have that yellow flag. That's a moderate warning if anybody's planning on going out swimming or being in the water in general. You have a light chop. Definitely cooler water temperatures. I don't know if I'd be swimming in these conditions, but if you guys are into that, go ahead and take a chance. If you're looking skyward, tonight it's going to be beautiful viewing conditions. With that new moon, you're not going to be having a lot of that light from the moon, so it'll be really nice, especially with these clear skies tonight, to take a look at the stars. If you're doing the electric slide over to Madison Social to check out that Monday Night Football, tonight's your night to do it. 70 degrees, mostly clear. It's going to be quite the nice night to go walking if you guys maybe don't want to drive all the way to College Town. I know parking is rough there. Dog walk forecast, quite cool in the morning, 55. So make sure you're bringing a jacket if you're walking that early, and maybe in a flashlight because it's going to be still dark, I'm pretty sure. And it won't be too hot for you and your pup around 11 a.m. if you're planning on walking then. Airport delays, no delays here because of that really nice conditions we've been having, but I believe it's a different story for New York. If you're flying out of there, looks like they're having some rain over there, folks, so if you are planning on flying out of New York, it is going to be maybe not the best airport experience for you. If you're planning on driving tomorrow, 61 in the morning, warming up to 80 in the afternoon, and it's just going to be really nice conditions continuing for us here in Tallahassee. 82 tomorrow. And here's just a look at your weekday planner if you guys are planning on going out. Just 80s across the board. But why don't we pass things off to Isabel, who's going to talk to us more about our local weather.
So just one more time before we end the show so you guys really get an idea of what we're going to be experiencing in the next couple of days. That was a look at Doak. Same things that we saw earlier. Not many clouds in the sky. It's a beautiful day here in Tallahassee. Looking at the current weather conditions, it is 81 degrees. That is going to feel very warm. It's not very humid out, so we're going to be getting every bit of that 81 degrees. It's going to really feel like that. And in surrounding areas, looks like we're a little bit of a hot spot compared to the other areas, but we're experiencing those upper temperatures for this time of year. So as we can see, we're experiencing that wind coming from the Gulf. It's going to be about 9 miles per hour. It's coming straight up there. It's going to be calm in some areas like in Perry and Valdosta, in Quincy, and then we're going to experience slower wind speeds in Apalachicola and Donaldsonville. As I said earlier, what we're experiencing right now in this radar isn't from rain. That's just going to be ground scatter. We're not experiencing anything going on at the moment. For the future radar, let's look into the week ahead. Here comes Tuesday. A couple clouds, nothing that we should be concerned about. Maybe a couple of spots where we might be seeing a little bit of precipitation, but nothing to be concerned about in Tallahassee. So tonight in Tallahassee, if you plan on going out, it's going to be a little cold, maybe a jacket, partly cloudy. Slow winds from the south-southwest at 5 miles per hour, but an overall beautiful temperature for a nighttime stroll. For tonight's forecast, 55 degrees and cloudy. We're experiencing similar temperatures in Bainbridge and Quincy up here, same type of temperatures and conditions. It's going to be clear in Thomasville, but similar conditions throughout the Big Bend area. For tomorrow's bikecast, you want to get on a little bike ride on the way to class or something like that. It is going to be a cooler morning. It's going to heat up a little bit as you get to about 3 p.m., but it's going to be a little cloudy. Hopefully that temperature isn't going to feel too bad when you guys are exercising today or tomorrow. For the hour-by-hour forecast, it's going to be what we're expecting. It's going to be a very cold morning, and it's going to heat up to the low 80s later on. I'm going to take one step back so you guys can see the week ahead. It's going to be a little bit warmer than we've been experiencing, but overall it should be a beautiful week leading up to Halloween. Now I'm going to pass it to the desk to end the show.
Thank you, Isabel. So yes, that is right. We have been seeing some relatively warmer temperatures, especially compared to last week. I believe we broke 2 records last week for the coldest temperatures for that day. I think we hit like 31 or 32 degrees last week. So that's pretty cold, especially for this time of year. We're not that deep into fall yet. So hopefully this week will be a little bit warmer, although we are still getting into the throes of fall. So those temperatures are still going to electric slide down into the 40s as the cold fronts and the seasons do continue. So like I said, it is fall. Halloween is coming up. So hopefully you guys have all your Halloween costumes ready to go and you guys have a great Halloween plan. Hopefully the weather holds up for you guys. I know the next few days we do have a marginal chance for some rain and severe weather. That is because of the cold front that is going to be making its way through into our area, which will bring some drier conditions and some possible rain and cooler temperatures across the board. So hopefully you guys can spend some nice time outside and enjoy the nice weather while it lasts. And we're going to be, please feel free to follow us on Twitter at FSU Weather, as well as Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, all FSU Weather. So please feel free to check out any of our posts, any of our previous shows. You guys name it. Please feel free to send us all your Halloween costume pictures, as well as any questions you may have. And we're going to leave you guys with one last look at the 7-day, our next week ahead. And I am student meteorologist Spencer Blum, signing off on this lovely Monday evening.